Have you ever made a complete dress in a day? This mock-up was so easy, I think I'm going to try. So let's see what the jar has for us in store today. Number 2. Number 2. Oh, this is a very cute dress. It is Simplicity number 2249. And the fabric for it is this really nice lightweight floral print. Gonna make a very pretty dress. Now, I have not ever made this pattern before, but there are some really great variations in it that you can make. I think the plan was to make this long version that is sleeveless. I also wanted to show the fact that I did actually pull number 2 out of the jar. I have this lightweight sheet, which feels about the same weight as my floral print fabric. And since I've never made this pattern before, I need to take my own advice and use this to make a mock-up because I don't remember where I got my fabric. Probably can't get it anymore. Well, hello and welcome to my dining room. This is where I usually do most of my cutting. You know, the one thing I love about thrift stores is being able to get sheets like this. Probably cost me $2. All right, well, that fills the whole table. Move this down just a smidge. Just enough room for all of my pattern pieces. If you are new to my channel, I am the type of sewist who likes to cut through her patterns, and as I cut, I transition from one size to the other, which means I am cutting a size 12 through the bust, a 14 through the waist, and then expanding out to a 16 through the hips. The same goes for the center back sections. I cut a size 12 in the upper back, a 14 through the waist, and then transition out to a 16 in the hips. Even though this pattern has 7 different pieces for the main part of the dress, it really is pretty simple to put together. You start with the upper and lower front sections. Then the upper and lower side fronts. And then sew the 3 sections together. And your front is basically done. The back is sewn together the same, except the center back is one long piece. This wants you to leave an opening at the top for a zipper, but I'm going to try to do this without one. Next is the upper and lower side backs, and then those 3 sections get sewn together. Finally, sew the shoulders together and down the sides. And here are the results. Yes, I know this looks like a hospital gown, but it won't once I cut it from the floral print fabric. Now, as far as changes go, I do need to cut the neckline down, and I'm going to cut it knee length because this is way too long. It fits very well in the body, so I don't have to make any adjustments to my pattern, as I don't want it to be any tighter, and I don't think it needs to be any looser. The sleeves, when they are gathered, will be sleeveless like this, and this was super easy to put together. I think I should be able to make this in a day.
The next day.
It's Thursday, January 15th, 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm starting a timer to see just how long it will take to make this dress. The first thing I need to do is shorten the length of my pattern pieces by 8 inches. When making any garment from scratch, you need to lay out all of your pieces first to be sure you have enough fabric. Once you have that established, on any piece that has an arrow running down the middle, you need to line it up with the grain of your fabric using a ruler. This will ensure your pieces will be cut on the straight and your garment will hang correctly. Since I've already gone through the steps of assembling this dress, I wanted to highlight other details that are important during the construction of any garment. The first one is pressing. When you can, do things in stages where you're pressing more than one thing at a time. That will save you from going back and forth from your sewing machine to the ironing board. When it comes to interfacing, I am in no way an expert. I use mostly a fusible type, which has always worked well for me. This fabric is lightweight and so is the interfacing. Interfacing is one of those materials that helps to stabilize and give structure to things like collars, cuffs, and in my case, a facing and the front belt detail. Since this dress does not need a lining, I am using my serger machine on all of my seam allowances for a nice clean finish. And all of the seams get pressed open flat. This pattern calls for a 24-inch regular zipper, but I hate them, and will use an invisible zipper instead. I think they are very easy to install. I was going to try to not put a zipper in the back of this dress, but after taking the mock-up off a couple of times, it really does need one. This way I can step into the dress instead of putting it on over my head. The one key thing to remember when sewing in an invisible zipper is to have a couple extra inches at the bottom when you sew it in, so that when you pull your tab back through, you eliminate the little pucker at the bottom. One tool I would highly recommend is a pressing ham. They come in very handy for pressing seams that you can't lay flat or pressing around curves. I have several of them and use them often. Well, the dress is basically together and time for all the finishing details. On the armhole opening, it wants you to do a double half-inch turned hem, which is kind of tricky in the way the bottom is shaped, as it's not a perfect circle. Next, using their guide for length, you sew a piece of 1/4 inch elastic to the shoulder from the armhole opening to just shy of the neckline. Make the 2 shoulder tabs and then go on a hunt for some buttons. This is me hunting and having to finally come to the conclusion that the 2 buttons on the shoulders were not going to match the 2 on the front, as I did not have 4 identical buttons. I am very fortunate that my machine has this handy-dandy buttonhole maker, and it is one reason why I will never give up my machine. The tab gets sewn to the shoulder seam where the sleeve and neckline meet. The end of it will be covered by the facing, which is next. Before I sew it on, I'm serging off the exposed edge. The facing then gets sewn to the neckline, and the seam allowance gets trimmed to 3/8 of an inch. Be sure to clip the curve quite a bit so that it won't pucker when you turn it to the inside. And it would be better if you waited to sew the ends of the facing to the zipper after you understitch the whole thing. Then just tack your facing at the shoulder seam at the tab. Finally, we've come to the last and final step, the hem. I'm doing a quick hem by serging off the edge and turning under 1/4 of an inch. And there it is, a dress made in a day. Can you believe it? And it only took me 4 hours and 20 minutes to make it. Not bad if I do say so myself. But yeah, from the time I cut out all of my pieces to the very last pressing, 4 hours and 20 minutes to make this dress. And it feels so comfortable. It is so lightweight. It's going to be perfect for my anniversary date that's coming up in a month. And I love all the details about it. I love this band across the front with the buttons, and this button over tab on the shoulders. And I love the way it fits. Not too snug, nice and comfortable. I'm definitely going to have to make this again. I have noticed that the front neckline here seems to be a little crooked. Now my shoulders are crooked from side to side, and this pink flower here in the front makes it a lot more prominent. I think I need to scoop it out just a little bit more, but if this is the only thing I have to fix on it, I'm doing pretty good. I hope this video inspires you to try a new pattern that you've never sewn before. I was a bit hesitant because of the way I thought it might fit through my midsection, but as you can see, this floral print hides my flaws. And I can honestly say, this was not a Pinterest-inspired remake, as it was a pattern I had stashed with some fabric that I fell in love with. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned as the sewing madness continues.